What's up, everybody? How are you? This is Bill Foster, Real Talk Chronicles. I got a wonderful show for you tonight. I'm very excited about this show. I got some dynamic people, emotionally and connected to me, and we're just going to chop it up. But this is going to be the epitome of what Real Talk Chronicles is tonight. Without further ado, I want to talk about my sponsors. You can see them at the bottom of the screen. Melba Wilson, Leon Ellis, Chocolat, Soft Illusions Art Gallery. That's my wife's business. She also is a graphic designer, so she has a design interaction. Also, the Daily Arts of Survival magazine and Ingram Taxes. I don't know if you still need your taxes done, but you can still reach out to those individuals and see what they're talking about and see if they can help you with that. It is the 10th of May. Time is flying. Malika also and her mother are having for those in the Philadelphia area, you can come down to Philly. She's having her 13th anniversary for being a Black business owner. Her and her mother, they're doing a celebration. They are the first. They wrote a book, and it's something. If you can't make it to Philly, which is understandable. Look at softillusions.com, and you can go and support if you're in about supporting Black business and stuff like that. This is where we all are and things. Oh, excuse me, everybody. I'm trying to get all these devices together. I see all the comments coming in and stuff like that. Pat Palazzo, Norman Seabrook is the best. I miss you, guy. That's what's up. We're going to start reading all these comments and stuff like that. I see you, Paulette Clemens, Vera with the wonderful last name. Everybody, we appreciate you chiming in tonight. I have a phenomenal person. I have two phenomenal people with me on tap tonight. One is a friend, and he's damn near family, so you might as well call him family after tonight if he wasn't considered family before then. And the other one is my uncle. So without further ado, let me introduce my friend that's family now, Mr. Norman Seabrook. What's up, good brother? How are you?
My brother, God bless you. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you feeling today, man?
I'm fantastic, man. It's good to be with you. It's good to see Uncle Willie. Love you guys, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Now, the other person who's going to kind of be the co-host, special guest tonight, for those that don't know, that's my uncle. His hand reaches farther than just Harlem, but people want to just call him the godfather of Harlem. But his hand reaches much farther than that. Everybody, let me introduce you to my uncle, Mr. Willie Walker. What's up, Unc?
Hey, nephew. Norm, brother Norm, special. You guys are special, but my nephew, and listen, we chop it up, Norm.
Yes.
Glad to be on, nephew. Glad to be on.
Absolutely. Now, let me just run down the rules, Norm, and Unc already knows. And especially, this is a great show for me because this is the anniversary. Tomorrow is the anniversary, my mother's birthday, my uncle's sister. But it's also, she is the reason why Real Talk started, because I knew I needed therapy, and I didn't go to a clinical. I went to friends, and we just started conversing about life and things. And the evolution of Real Talk has led me to where we are now. And this podcast is about to be 3 years old. So I appreciate you definitely for being here on that aspect. Lorraine Kitchen is in the family. What's up, Lorraine? Herbert Seabrook, he says, Norm Seabrook, we are here, brother. Amanda Duncan, good evening, Norman Seabrook. The people are coming in here for you, Norm. They're coming in hot and heavy, brother. And that's a beautiful thing. Go ahead. Yes, please. If you got something to say. So
no, I was saying that how good God is, because, for you to realize that you wanted some communication in your life other than self-medicating or anything else, you decided to be around friends and be able to take the opportunity to better yourself and to learn more or less what the Bible is telling you to do. And that's why you become so successful, you and Mrs. Foster Malika.
Yes, thank you. Definitely. Yes. So she's your sister now, bro. So you can call her Malika. Exactly.
Okay.
My Cherry Diva is in the building. She said, good to see you, Norman. Yolanda Lopez. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to type you all in. I'm going to give all the love. Shout out to Mark Rose in the building. So first and foremost, I want to get right to it. Norm, where are you from originally?
I was born and raised in the South Bronx.
Okay.
On near Longwood Avenue on Hewitt Place. So I'm a lifelong New Yorker, South Bronx kid. I was in the South Bronx when it was burning, when people said that the South Bronx is on fire and it's burning. And you went across the Cross Bronx Expressway and all you saw was burnt out buildings. But my mother raised 8 of us and she weathered the storm. She'll be 91 years old in August, and she's still here because she's a saint, man. She really is.
Oh, bless her heart. And it's a blessing for her to be here with Mother's Day approaching.
Absolutely.
You know, anytime you got a question or you want to chime in, you know, please do, because there's going to be an open forum. And I know you and Norm going to chop it up. And I'm going to let y'all two go at one point in this conversation. Everybody, if you're watching Real Talk Chronicles, if you're watching it from YouTube, please subscribe to it. If you're watching it from another social media, you come back to Real Talk. Come back to Real Talk Chronicles on YouTube and subscribe to it. I don't care if you're watching it from Facebook or wherever you're watching it from. Just subscribe to it. This is the only show where it's going to be real with the real people that have put their hands in the nook. You understand what I'm saying? Swole Guy, what's up, Brown? He said, what's up, Bill? What's up, Norm? Everybody, Brenda Stanton. Good evening, Norm Seabrook. Everybody. Tess Wilkins, it's wonderful to see you, Norm. I'm going to read them off. I'm going to try to chime in and write and say hello to all of you while Norman and Uncle Willie is talking. But I just want to make sure that I'm reading off the top of Real Talk. What's up, Holly? Hollister is in the building. So, Norm.
Yes.
Okay, you're from the Bronx. All right. Yes. What led you? Did you want to be a correction officer, or how did you end up becoming a correction officer?
Well, quite honestly, where I lived at on Hewitt Place, if you got up on the roof of the 5-story building, you could actually see Rikers from the roof. And seeing it, I've always been like, what is that over there? And then someone older than me, of course, told me that's Rikers Island. And, you know, when you grow up in the South Bronx without your father, and your mother is your father as well, and she provides the best that she can, it's a struggle. It's a struggle because there were times when, of course, we grew up, we were on welfare. And, you know, I had to push the wagon to go get the cheese from the welfare center. Back in those days, they gave you a block of cheese. They gave you 5-pound can of powdered milk and a 5-pound can of powdered eggs and butter and stuff like that. So Mom did the best that she could for us. And, you know, we went out and did what we had to do to get a little job here or there. I shined shoes. I worked in Six Corners barbershop. I worked in the butcher shop. And, you know, certain nights, you know, you get paid on a Friday night. I took half meat, half pay, you know, making sure that we had what we were supposed to have. And then as you get older, you start to, I guess, focus on what it is that you want to do as an adult. And there were so many opportunities. Back in the day, you could have become a police officer, correction officer, firefighter. You could have taken any civil service exam you wanted, but the key to that whole thing was having your diploma. And I had to go to 4 different high schools before I got my GED. But then getting my GED, I passed the test to become a New York City correction officer. And becoming a New York City correction officer in 1985, I thought it was just it was a wonderful thing. It was something that I'm very proud of and still very, very proud of, to call myself one of New York's boldest. And being a correction officer for the first 10 years of my career, I saw the injustices that continued to plague the correction department because of them being mostly a minority organization. It was Blacks and Latinos and whites, and a few Asian brothers and sisters. However, we were looked at as the stepchildren of law enforcement, and we have a very, very tough job. Correction officers have an extremely tough job, and no one was giving us the opportunity to rise. And the individuals that were in office prior to me becoming president of the organization, their agenda was simply settle a contract, give them some retroactive money, put a couple $1,000s in their pocket, and they'll be happy with that. And for the most part, the scheme worked until, you know, I became disenfranchised and didn't understand why we couldn't do better. And I took on a challenge to become the president of the Correction Officers Union. And in
Hold on,
1990,
stay with me. You go. I want you to stay with me though. I appreciate what you're about to go because we're gonna go down that rabbit hole. I just want to bring my uncle in on this question. You heard what Norm said, and your story might be a little different, but you being an activist and you understanding the civil rights, we're gentlemen like yourselves are cut from a different cloth. Like Norm said, he had to take his GED, which they don't allow people anymore with. I don't think to join civil service with GEDs anymore. I don't know if they changed that rule. But talk about real quick as I respond to some of the people that are chiming in. Norm, they are loving you. They're so happy to see you. Talk about what it was being from the South, understanding the civil rights, but being a Black man and becoming the person that you are today. You're muted, You're muted.
I grew up in a segregated society where when you talk about rights and everybody talk about what their rights are, there were no rights. The rights that anyone had was white rights. But I remember my father voting, and he had to take, well, first of all, he had to pay to vote, right? Mm-hmm. He had to pay to vote, and then he had to take a test in order to vote. And my father did it, but one of the things that he said is that he understood that his vote wouldn't count because we had to go to the firehouse to vote. But he took us there and explained to us how important it was to exercise your right to vote, whether it's counted or not. Where I grew up, there were no Black police officers. There were no Black elective officials. It was all white. What broke the back of the civil rights movement that people don't understand, they think it started in the mid-60s, and it didn't. It started in 1959. And in 1959, and I remember when I was growing up, my parents didn't have money to go out and buy. They didn't buy from any stores. One of the things that they did, they didn't use public transportation. Flatbed trucks used to come where the buses stopped, pick them up and take them to work. And what they said at that time, you got to be at least 75 feet from the bus stop in order to pick people up. But 75 feet from the bus stop was in the next bus stop. So what they would do, they would go through the neighborhood and pick people up and take them to work. But as we grew up as young people, if we was part of protesting, and they knew it, our parents would be fired.
Yeah.
But what the parents did,
No, I was saying that's great because that's going to segue me into asking Norm how he got into the union, because you were a civil rights activist and you still are. You still fight for the rights of people to this day. People don't even know. If they don't know, if you understand why I speak up, that is part of the reason why I speak up right there. That gentleman has taught me a lot about being on the forefront and speaking up for people of color, speaking up just for humanity and rights of that aspect. Shout out to everybody chiming in. Norm, I'm going to bring you back in. I just want to read some of the comments real quick because there's so many people coming in fast and furious. I can't say hi to everybody. I can't type their name. Listen, I did a little shorthand, but this hand is real long right here with these names coming in. So let me just read some of the names. Of course, I said Herbert Seabrook. He said, we are here. Loren Kitchen is in the building. Amanda Duncan, good evening, Norm. Mark Rose is in the building. Nicole is in the building. I said Miss Sherry Diva, Yvonne, Emmanuel Bailey, Miss what's up, Stefania? Tess Wilkins, it's wonderful to see you, Norman. I said Swole Guy Brown. What's up, Bill and Norm? What's up, brother? He said Brenda Statton, good evening, Norman Seabrook. Miss David, I think I don't want to mess up her first name. She said, fantastic seeing you, Norm. It's great to have you back. God bless. More joy. John Seabrook, God bless you, my brother. Janet J. Lo Gibbs is in the building. What's up, sis? She said, hello, Norman. Paulette Clemens, it's great seeing you. Blessings. Colin Clark, good evening, everyone. Gary Shokanoff, I hope I didn't butcher your name. Hope all is well. Janice, she said, hello, Bill. Happy heavenly birthday, Chief Larry W. Davis Sr. Velma Jackson, great to see you, Norman. I grew up on Tiffany. We are so proud of you. Velma Jackson, many blessings to you, Norm.
Thank
Samantha Wright, thank you for your service. Paulette Clemens, Norm. as you should.
You froze, Bill.
Bill, you're frozen.
We are Norman brothers. Shout out to the Seabrook family. Sharon N, great to see you, Norm. Debbie B. Jackson, shout out to Debbie B. Jackson's in the building. She said, "Good evening, gentlemen." Dana, what's up, niece? Gary, he says, "You will never have another president like Norman Seabrook." OJ James, so happy to see you, Norman. That gray is looking good on you. Junior Blake.
I'm gonna get like Willie, cut it all off.
yeah. Don't do that, brother. Don't do that. Listen. Let me see. Somebody else said, I just missed it. Junior Blake, my fellow 2A brother. He said, "Hey, Bill, did Norman know, or was he related to Joe that came to the 2A in '95 class?" Joe what was Joe? Was it Joe Seabrook? He passed away, but that Seabrook name is strong. It rings bells. Debbie Jackson said, "Willie's my man." Sharon N said, "Facts, Gray." Brenda Brown, "You were the absolute best to do it. We thrived." Lorraine Kitchen says, "Red is great, full to you." S Fox SMI, "Hello, Norman. Benny is selling the labor force down the river. I need your opinion. This is Sadie Smith." Oh, shucks, they getting the questions. Loving God is a privilege. He said, "Hey, what's up, Bill Forster? This is your man. Loving God is a privilege. Might you ask the guys what are the scriptures that gave them strength?" Thanks. We'll get to that. What's up, Curtis Ollie? Ronnie of Vismail. Hi from Ronnie of Vismail. What's up, cousin Kendra? Margarita. Good evening, everyone. What's up, Sweet Pea? Good evening. Good seeing you, Norman. Paulette Perel. Sharon Klesko. Clara Bryan. Keep the gray. Lorraine Kitchen. Norman for God bless you. Welcome home, my brother. Caro 40 is my guy. Callaway. Mike Palazzo. Hello from your son-in-law and Peter Torres. Bernadette Crockett. Love you, my Norman. Bernadette Crockett. See, I love this. This is about sin and blessings. You know what I'm saying? This is where it's all about, Noah. So let's talk about now.
Let me just say, please. Speaking of Bernadette and John and Herbert, those are my brothers and sisters, and I just want to thank them for tuning in, because I think it's important that family has a foundation, and no matter what happens in a person's life, you have to get back to rebuilding a foundation that can't be torn down because of rain or water or anything else. It's just like the Bible says, a man that built his house upon the sand, and a man that built his home upon the rock. And it's time for us to continue to build our family, all of us, people watching, people listening, to, get back into reintroducing themselves to what the foundation is for family. So I just wanted to say thank you. Paulette, thank you. And I got a text and someone said, Paulette wants you to call. I'll call you, Paulette. Good to hear from you. Go ahead, Bill.
Listen, I think they're trying to stop this whole flow right now. The internet all of a sudden wants to act up, but we still here. And God forbid, if we get pushed off, we'll be right back, everybody. So I'm letting you know. Yo, God, because listen, right now, when you got positivity and I'm surrounded by two kings, here's the third king. I'm coming in. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the powers that be will try to push you to the side, but we're not going to let that happen.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Yo, people, like I said, they're just chiming in. Shout out to everybody. I will read. Thank you. I will read all your comments and.
Yeah, the devil is definitely trying to shut us down, but that's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. We'll come right back. Trust me. So Norm, talk about how you got involved with the union.
Well, it was like I said, it was a group of people that were there that only felt that giving the men and women a check and waving a bonus signing bonus around and saying, look, I got you $5,000. And they thought that that was sufficient. And I felt differently about that. And I still feel differently about a lot of things that goes on right now. But I wasn't satisfied with that. So I put together a coalition of men and women. And I said, listen, I'm going to run for president of the Correctional Officers Benevolent Association. And, it was a long shot. People said, there's no way I'm going to win. But when God has for you, no man can take from you. And I still believe that. And that's why I'm sitting here right now, because I believe in the promises of God. I believe in what he's done, what he's doing, and what he's about to do in my life. So we took this uphill battle and we won the election in 1995. And between the time of me winning the election and getting so many 35 pieces of legislation, 35 pieces of legislation. That's more legislation than every union in the city and state together combined didn't get that. And we got it. And we got some of the most significant pieces of legislation. Each correction officer, and just to name a few, each correction officer, if they retire with 20 years of service and they get their pension, they get an additional $250 a week, every week, for the rest of their lives. That's called the variable supplement. And a funny story that goes with that variable supplement, when I put in that legislation, and I got to give a shout out to Floyd Holloway, who was my lobbyist in Albany at the time. And I get a phone call in the middle, right on the 31st of December, and either they're going to pass the bill or they're going to veto the bill. I get a phone call from Governor Pataki. And the governor says to me, he says, Norman, I can't do this legislation for you. And I said to him, Governor, you're my brother. I remember this like it was yesterday. I said, Governor, you're my brother. You've given me the heart bill. You've given me the 3/4 bill. If you can't do the variable supplement bill, I'm not mad at you, because what you've done for me with all the other legislation, I'm grateful and I thank you. He said, let me call you back. I go into the conference room where the correction captains were in there and the ADWs were in there. And doesn't matter who started saying it, but they started saying, well, tell them all the work that you've done for them. Tell them all the donations that we've raised for them. I said, that's not what this is about. You can't expect to get something from someone just because you did something for them. If you didn't do it from the kindness of your heart, then you shouldn't have done it. And at the end of the day, the phone rings again, and I get called back into my office, and the governor said, Norman, I'm going to do this bill for you, but you have to give me your word that you're going to change it from a VSF to a defined benefit, making it equal to the police department and the fire department. I began to tear up, and I said, Governor, you have my word. Went back into the room and I told them, I said, we got the VSF. And everybody thought I was crazy. A lot of officers, still to this day, some of them think that the last administration did all of these things, or some magic wand took place and they have it because of I don't know what. But at the end of the day, the point of the matter is that I weathered the storm to fight for the rights of men and women. I saw the injustices that continue to plague not only against the inmates and the officers and the civilians. It's a system that is broken and it needs to be fixed. And in order to fix that system, you got to start from scratch. So that's what I did when I became president of the Correctional Officers Union. I started from scratch, built it to where it's supposed to be done, and did everything it was supposed to be done for the men and women of the organization and their families. Started a scholarship fund, started a widows and children's fund, started a 9/11 response. We handled the morgue. Correction officers actually built the morgue outside, built a station outside of the morgue so that we would handle the individuals that were killed and destroyed in the plane attacks that took place on 9/11. We've done so much together to build where we should be. And, you know, it's a privilege to say that, like Gary said, there'll never be another president. I don't know. They may be. But at the end of the day, I'm proud to say I'm a New York correction officer. I'm proud to say that the work that we've done, let the work that I've done speak for me. And it's a blessing. It really is a blessing. And when you think about blessings, it takes me to, yeah, I was in federal prison. There's no secret about that. I mean, that's public information. But I went for something that I didn't do. You know, at the end of the day, God took me someplace to cleanse me. It got rid of all of those people that were around me who I thought were my friends, who I thought were my associates, who I thought had my best interest at hand. And I'm not mad at them. I've forgiven them all because God has blessed me. God has blessed my family. God has kept my family. There was nobody knocking on the door saying, hey, make sure you got some coffee, make sure you got bread, make sure the lights are on. Willie did it and others, but I don't know those same people who I thought would be there. They weren't there, but I'm not mad at them. God is good. And if anything that I've learned through this process is you can't skip the process. If there's anything that I've learned through this whole situation that I've been in, is that God has kept me because of the promises that he made in his book. His book's not going to change. That story's not going to change. That's the GPS. That's the God positioning system, not the global positioning system in your car. Can't drive your car to heaven or hell. Can't take that money to heaven or hell. Can't take those clothes, can't take that place, can't take none of that with you. When you get there, he's going to ask you, did you visit the prisoner? Did you give that homeless person some clothes or something to drink or some water? Those are the things that mean something to me now that also meant to me before, but they resonate more now because I know both sides of this now. Didn't know it before.
I am back. Apologize for that.
Can you hear me, Bill?
Thank you, Norm. So just pick up where you left.
Can't hear you, Bill.
Can y'all hear me?
No, we couldn't.
Can you hear me now, Unc?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. Like I said, I apologize, everybody. Let me tell you, the devil trying, but I bobbed and weaved. I'm good with it. So I say all that to say that I know you guys were talking and conversing. So Norm, I'm just going to pick up. I'm going to let you continue what you were just saying. I think you said something about incarceration or something like that. And there's no secret. I think we heard something like that. Continue, and then I'll follow suit when I get a chance. I just want you to be.
No, listen, I said that I know both sides of this now. I've seen both sides of this equation, and there's things that have to change. Let me give you an example of what I think things meaning to change. When you look at the city of New York, and I'm going to use the city for example. You look at the city of New York, and you say you're going to put somebody in a correctional system, and you're supposed to be rehabilitating that person. Now, some may agree with, some may not agree, but that's why we have the First Amendment in the Constitution, because it's your opinion and it's freedom of speech. People should be, I'm not saying people, I would try to find places like Apex and say to Apex or different car manufacturing engineering companies and say, listen, I want to train these young people on how to repair these new model cars, these Teslas, these Mercedes. I want to give them the training that they require so that they don't come back to jail. But if you don't give them anything, they're going to keep going back to jail because they don't know anything else. You're not going to find a job. There's no jobs as far as a short order cook. All the restaurants are closing. But if you give them something that's tangible, that they can put in their hands, that they can take home to their family, making a decent salary, it's going to work for them. You got air conditioning, you got auto repair. That needs to be in the schools. They took it out of the schools, and for some strange reason, they think that everything is working good just to get a high school diploma and go off to college. But if you don't have any skills and you can't function with the college level of it, at least you would have learned for 4 or 5 years auto mechanics. At least you would have learned air conditioning. At least you would have learned electricity. At least you would have learned something that you could actually apply to life and get something for it. But they don't do that. And it's just like with the people with mental health. Mental health is a problem. Yes, it is. But they wait until the person is already an adult at 20, 30, 5 years old and they say, oh, they have a mental health problem. There needs to be a mental health counselor starting from first grade all the way up in these classrooms, because a child may leave home, go to school, but by the time he gets back home, he gets back into an environment that's abusive, that's psychologically abusive, that's physically abusive. He or she may not talk about that because there is no one to talk to about that. The teacher has 30 students in the class. She's not really, or he's not really concentrating on that. So what you have to do, in my opinion, is you have to put someone in the classroom to be able to monitor these young people so that they don't get to be 30 years old with a mental health problem that's not being taken care of. That's just the way I feel, Bill. I mean, if we're going to chop it up, let's chop it up.
No, it's real talk, and that's what we're going to have here, because now I want to bring Uncle Willie in on this, and I want you two to converse about this. If not, Norm, like Norm said, there were trades when I went to school, and I'm the baby of this bunch, if I may say so myself. And I still went to schools when they had trades. Those trades are gone. Just like Norm said, what's your feeling on that? Why do you think they took those trades away? And is there ever a thing where we can ever get those trades back, like Norm was saying? Because the bottom line is when you live in a right to work state, you meet the family of electricians or the landscapers or the plumbers and stuff like that. But in New York City, that is far gone. I remember one time before I even thought about becoming a civil servant, I thought about getting into the electricians union. That was one of the hardest things to get in, the unions of anything. So, Unc, I was just wondering, what was your thoughts on that? And then Norm, you can come back into it, and I'll read some comments after that. Mm-hmm.
The trades aren't gone. The trades are still here, but the trades are upstate, and they renamed it. They call it BOCE schools. In upstate, they have BOCE schools where they train people in the very things that we're talking about. So young white men and women could come out of school and make a living for their children out of high school, make a living for themselves out of high school. And they took that from us because, once again, how do you keep a man from living well and raising his children well and making a living for himself? Is that you take the very thing that he needs to survive. They took that out of black schools and they put it in white schools, and they renamed it, and they're called BOCE schools, and those things are still going on today.
Well, and let me say that we have a mayor, Mayor Adams. He can put this back in the school if he wants to. This is not something that's written in stone that can't be done. It can be done. I mean, I listen to a lot of people just absorbing and listening. I do a lot of listening now, and I hear things that I'm a little bit confused about. For example, I was listening to a radio station talk show, and they were talking about, raising money to send children to camps, okay, for the summer. They want to raise to send 300 children to camp. Now, I'm all for being able to help everybody. I'm all for it. But we have to help people of the city of New York first. They come first. First and foremost, they come first. I would like to see 2, 3, 4, 500 kids go away to camp up in the Adirondacks, the Catskills, for 2 or 3 weeks, because I know in those 2 or 3 weeks, we're not going to a funeral for a young kid that got shot with a 9mm. Mm-hmm. That child, some of these children have the closest they've been out of the community that they live in is watching it on TV, going somewhere else. They haven't even been out of the borough that they live in. They have no idea how big this world is for them and what they can get out of it. But it's up to us to help them, to re-educate them, to bring them back into the fold, to make the elected officials accountable. And don't come to me because you need my vote just so that you can get reelected. Come to me and give me a plan and an agenda of what you're going to do for the communities that you serve. That's the bottom line.
Huh?
Here we go.
That's why this is Real Talk, everybody. Hold on. This is Real Talk Chronicles, everybody. I'm Bill Foster with my special guest, Mr. Norman Seabrook, the former president of the Corrections Union. That I will rest in peace to Lenny Holmes.
Yes.
He wanted me to come in as a martial artist and fight for the Corrections Union. So I was going to go back. That's way back in the days. And I had my uncle, the man of town, Mr. Willie Walker, and for those that affectionately know him as Uncle, because y'all try to take the name, but it's blood here. But I'm going to defer to these guys. I'm going to yield back and let them have this conversation because I want to hear great minds have great conversations. So go ahead, Uncle.
Well, Norm, you're absolutely right when they talk about elected officials and what they do and what they should do, right? And I judge elected officials about what they do in our community. If elected officials have been in office for a while and they can't name anything that they've done, any program that they have for seniors or for youth, they're not doing anything in the community anyway. They're self-serving and they're serving themselves. I don't support that. I'll support anybody just starting up. I'll support people with great ideas or ideas that they want to do something to make a difference. And today we don't always get that. There is no platform. You ask a person, what is your platform? What are you running under? They say, well, I want to get elected and I'm going to do all of these things in the neighborhood. You never did it before you got elected. You never did anything before. And all of a sudden, you're going to make a difference in our lives. They don't make a difference in their lives because they don't really care. Once again, it's self-serving, and I don't support that at all.
Well, I know you don't, Willie. You are and have always been someone that I look up to, and no pun intended, because you're a lot shorter than I am. But
and a lot older too.
But I look up to you, and I thank you for the guidance and the wisdom that you've shared with me. I remember many times of us sitting down at the Harlem Chamber of Commerce and having conversations, and you pulling me to the side, and while pulling me to the side, pulling my coat at the same time, and being helpful to a lot of people. And those same people have forgotten how helpful others were to get them to where they are. But it's okay. You see, that's the part of cleansing that God does. He allows that to happen because with blessings come burdens. They go hand in hand. And when you look at the blessings that come and the burdens that come with blessings, look, Moses had burdens with his blessings. David had burdens with his blessings. Joseph had burdens with his blessings. Norman has burdens with his blessings. Willie has burdens with his blessings. Bill has burdens with Paulette, Renee, Jeffrey, Richard, John. We all have it. But, you know, we got to be able to not allow our emotions to take control of our faith. We can't allow our self to self-destruct thinking that that's the end of it. That's not the end. I've always said, and people have heard me say it before, that God allows 5 reasons and 5 things to happen to you. And for those 5 things that God allows to happen, and I'll give them to you, you know, it's for a reason. It's to direct you, inspect you, correct you, protect you, and perfect you. And he will handle that, but you got to trust him on doing that. And I've learned so much from you. I'm so grateful to you. I really am, because you're a friend and you will always be a friend. And I love you and I appreciate you.
Well, we are joined at the hips, my brother. You know, and talk about perseverance and talking about what your faith is about. And I mean what your real faith is about. And we have so much faith and trust in mankind. We will always be disappointed.
Absolutely.
Because that's human nature.
Absolutely.
If we don't have trust in God, we don't have trust in the Lord, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we don't have anything. And whatever you call them, right? If you don't have that faith, that trust and belief in them, and that perseverance, that they will see you through, God, you, help you and be a part of your life, you're never going to go anywhere. But it has to start with you.
Absolutely.
You can't ask for something. You can't get something if you never ask for it. We don't ask. We think things are going to come. Things are going to be given to us. Nobody's going to give you anything. You could work for it. You're not going to be lucky enough to get it because there's no such thing in that, right? God will bless you in the manner that you give back to him.
Amen.
Now, what are you going to give?
Amen.
Will depend on what you get.
Listen, everybody today, you're going to get some real talk. You're going to get some real Jesus. You're going to get church. You're going to get a lot of things with these two gentlemen right here. But the one thing, if you didn't get it, you're going to get it today. For me, Willie Walker to you all, but Uncle Willie, and that's Mr. Norman Seabrook, the man of the hour right now. We're giving him his flowers. And everybody, I appreciate all the comments. I'm going, Norm, I want to just read a few comments and statements. I'm going to go backwards. I apologize, everybody, for the technical difficulties, but I appreciate you all, Norman, his flowers right now, because this is about a celebration also, and it's about him speaking his mind. And thank you for all the comments that you're saying. Raina Torre, what's up? She said, come on with the real talk. Margarita said, amen. Hallelujah, Holly. True Vision said, faith is not faith until it's tested, and once tested, your faith gives you a testimony. Absolutely. DJ Danny D, he plays for me, everybody. One of the baddest DJs in Harlem, around the world. No disrespect, Danny. Around the world, he plays for me for my brunch party, beautiful people brunch party. Latanya Meeks is in the building. What's up, sis? The Meeks. Shout out to the old Bam Bam family. She said, Norman is the best. I sincerely appreciate you. Hi, Bill. Thank you for giving Norman a platform to speak. Absolutely. Clara Bryant, Norm, we need legal representation in PA and other states for retirees relocated. Raina Torrey said, making a difference doesn't just talk difference. When there's a need, there's also the opportunity to make the difference. Absolutely. Mike says, I guarantee that Norman can get this department back in the line right from his living room. Bold statement. I believe it too. Clara Bryan said, Norman, we need retirees in other states, Commonwealth, including especially. Queen B, help us first, then extend our hand. True Vision, that's facts. This is a big world. These kids are not getting in. Richard Palmer, he said, that's the problem. The city council doesn't care about staff. Elizabeth Castro, preach, Norman, take of home first. Stefania, this man is a jewel. Ain't heard one lie yet. That's what's up. Nicole, I see you. Exposure. Pat, speaking the truth, brother. New York City first. Raina Torrey, David Banks is the man to get it done with Mayor Adams. Bernadette Crockett, that's right. Loving God, great initiative spoken from Norman. Now Norman Network with the movers and shakers and demand results from Black elected officials. Richard Palmer, they couldn't handle Norman as a president. Today, we would never allow that's happening to officers. Norm, I want you to talk about that too, if you didn't. I'm sorry if I got rebooted. Elizabeth Castro said, say it, Uncle Willie. Nicole, still it's hard to get in. Clara Bryant, on our job, there were lots of staff suffering from mental illness. Wow, we need to talk about that. And I know you and Uncle touched on that too. Clara Bryant, she says, on our job, I read that. True Vision, yes, vocational and technical high schools. That's crazy that that's not here anymore. And like you said, Norm, we need to get that back. Uncle, I think you co-signed that too. Gary Sharkoff, Norman is the next mayor. All right now. Norm, I'll ask you before the show out. Would you have visions of ever running for mayor? Rose Moore, he said, Uncle Willie, your background is the one of a consciousness fighter. Thank you for what you have done and still doing for our people. Salute to you. That's my man, Mark. Happy belated birthday, brother. Malibu Barbie doll, right? Clara, let's see. And the Duncan facts. Elizabeth Castro, keyword, understood the process. Siobhan, I'm just going right. Debbie Jackson, you have done so. Debbie B. Jackson, shout out to Debbie B. Jackson. She said, you have done so much for so many, and a lot of people don't know it. Absolutely. We know, a lot of us do know. You're right. Everybody, that's Norman Seabrook. That's Willie Walker, and I am Bill Foster. This is Real Talk Chronicles. If you like it, subscribe to it. Please, the first Monday of the month, we have Assemblyman Al Taylor, where he brings on some political people, and we converse about things that's happening in the city, in this country. The second Monday of the month, we have Dr. Marilyn, and I'm happy to say that she's my cousin, my first cousin. She gives you the most intimate conversation from a woman of color, and her husband, Fred Corder, sometimes joins the panel, and we talk about, you ask any question. You can go back to the last show we just had on YouTube. We talked about prostate cancer. We talked about asphyxiation. We talked about so many things, fibroids. We talked about, she went around the world in just 1 hour. Shout out to my brother, Eddie Vieira. He said, excellent conversation. And Mr. Willie Walker, don't play. Can't get more real than him. That shout out to Eddie Vieira. He's in the building watching us. Everybody, Norm Seabrook, Willie Walker. Norm, so let's talk about the mental illness aspect of this. We could talk about the children too. This is a big thing. You know,
yes.
Maybe let me scale back. I want to talk about, how do you feel the change? First and foremost, I remember when I came on with PD, when PD used to come to the correction facility and you would speak a tour of the jails or certain cells and stuff like that in that magnitude, right? I personally have always felt correction is the boldest. Like, you guys are the epitome of what your name is. I've always had a problem when I've heard my constituents, my coworkers, talk about they don't respect correction. I never understood that, because you guys don't want to be in it. You guys and females don't want to be in themselves with them bulls. You understand what I'm trying to say? But the thing is, we're blue. I think you have always, from my standpoint, being in law enforcement and not even knowing you yet, we're watching how you move the city. You made the corrections department respectable. Can you talk about that a little bit? Why do you think that there was always a problem with how some PD, and I'll say some, not all, some PD had viewed corrections?
I think that when you're when you're out of sight, out of mind, people tend to pass judgment on you. And that's one of the things that I really had a problem with is the way that correction officers were treated as law enforcement, the second largest law enforcement organization in the entire state of New York, as far as police and correction is concerned. And I always had a problem with that. And I'm not one to mix words. I never did mix words. When you have a group of individuals that's mostly minority, that's where your status was. And I took on a crusade to bring them, men and women, to a level that they've never seen before. God has blessed me to be able to do that. When you heard corrections, you knew Norman Seabrook had something to say. Now, that being said, we developed a relationship under Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, Chief of Department Philip Banks, and others. We developed a relationship where we were finally treated fairly, okay? And I respect that, and I appreciate that. Going forward, I see now something a little bit different. Not saying that, you know, and one thing has anything to do with the other, but the relationship that I had with Raymond Kelly was a great relationship. I have a lot of respect for that man. People can say what they want about Ray, but Ray was a friend, okay? And we got the respect that we so rightfully deserve. We fought like hell to get it. And I fought tooth and nail all kind of day and night to get it, excuse me. And I did what it is that I had to do to get us the respect. Switching over to mental health for a second. I was in the car today and I said to my wife of 40 years, a woman that held me down for 21 months. God.
All the RTC people watching, give him some hearts. Give his wife some hearts for that. A good woman held a man down. Give us some hearts for that. Give us some hearts.
She didn't leave me. She didn't bounce on me. She didn't turn on me. That is my rock. She held me down. And my two daughters, I called them my pebbles because they held me down. We were driving in the car today and we saw a man at the bus stop. He had on no shirt, a sheet wrapped around him, had on pants, his hair was disheveled, beard was disheveled, and he's right outside the hospital, Jacoby Hospital. So I said to my wife, I said, he needs some help. She looked at me and she's like, yeah, he looks a little rough there. And she says, well, you can't help everybody. And I said, no, I'm not trying to help everybody, but I think, you know, he needs a little help. She said, but you know, what happens if you walk up to somebody and you're trying to help them and they yell at you or they punch you or they stab you? I said, that tells you that that person has a problem. I said, but at the end of the day, in order to correct that problem, you got to start at a young age. You cannot start when this person's 40 and 20 years of being in the street on their own and nobody giving a damn about them, and they've been eating out of garbage cans and everything else. Now you want to come in and do something. They're not going to trust you, first of all, because their mind has been programmed to believe that it's all about them. They're the only ones in the world. So you have to start with these younger kids. These kids that are going to school every day, they leave their home in a community and they hope that they don't get shot on the way to school. They hope that they don't get shot on the way home from school. They hope that they're not accosted to be able to sell drugs on the corner and all of these other things that are going on. That's a mental problem for these children. And for a child to be 12 or 11 or 13 years old to deal with something like that is very, very difficult. And then they have to worry about the clothes that they wear. Are they going to get robbed for their sneakers? Are they going to get robbed for their lunch? Are they going to get robbed for their watch, their cell phone, or whatever? So now they have another level of protection that they have to put on. They have to put on this mask that they can handle it, but they don't have nobody to release to. Like you said, Bill, you said when you were going through something, you looked to your friends, and that's how this Real Talk got started, because you invited yourself into a group of people that helped you. These kids don't have that. If we don't help them, we're going to lose them. If we lose them, that's our fault, not theirs. Ours, because we're supposed to be the adults. We're supposed to be the ones teaching them how to do better. But in order for them to do better, we have to do better. And their parents have to do better. You can't take a person out of Rikers Island that's been there for 2 years waiting for their trial to come up, release them, and you didn't teach them diddly squat for 2 years except for get up, go to bed, get up, go to bed, lock in, lock out, go to bed, get up, go to bed. That's not the answer. Take that same person and say, I'm going to teach you how to repair those transportation buses that are sitting back there, diesel buses that are sitting back there in the graveyard, they call it. Give them the opportunity to learn something. If you take 10 of them and 2 of them graduate to go get a job, that's 2 less individuals that are coming back to prison. And those are the things that have to happen. If we don't do those things, then we're just kidding ourselves, because it's a joke. So I am of the opinion that we've got to help. We've got to help. We've got to volunteer. We've got to protect these kids. We've got to give them something, or I should say, we got to give back to them what have been given to us. We have to turn to that book. And people may not believe me when I tell you this, don't get me wrong. I'm a firm believer in the Bible. I lived it. You understand what I'm saying? I'm like Joseph. Just because you put me in the pit, that don't mean I had a pity party.
Absolutely, brother.
God
Absolutely.
is good. He will answer your prayers if you have faith. But if you're doing it just to say, oh, thank you, God, God's not Santa Claus. At the end of the day, he wants to ensure that he could trust you with something more if you do what it is that he's giving you something to do right then and there. And I'm gonna fall back and let Uncle Willie come in, because I'll go all night long.
Well, everybody,
like I said, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Norman Seabrook. That's Uncle Willie Walker. I am Bill Foster. Subscribe to it. Share it. If you're watching it from Facebook, share that. If you're watching it from YouTube, share the link after this show is over. Let people know. This is the only place you're going to get a Norman Seabrook, a Willie Walker for free. And they can converse with you and talk to you about it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to start charging you. Listen, I got a lot of legal bills, so I'm going to start charging you, Bill.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. Tell them. That's exactly.
Well, listen. I'm paying anyway. I don't give a damn. Listen, the buzzword has been lately mental health. Everybody's talking about mental health. Nobody have a solution to mental health. Let's talk about us Black people. Black people don't really want to go to a psychiatrist or a therapist, right, and talk about their problems, because we've always been private. When they talk about mental health, everybody want to treat the person and not the family. You can't treat mental health and treat the individual without treating the family. If you treat the child and the parent doesn't understand, the mental health is still there. If you treat the parent and the child doesn't understand, it's the same thing. So no one is saying, let's treat the family. And the way you're going to get it done is by doing that. The individual, fine. If that individual is the only person that you need to treat. But when you treat Willie Walker, and I got 5 people in the house, and nobody else is being treated, no one understands when I get better, if I get better, or they won't let me get better because I'll be different. When are people going to say, let's treat the family? And if you treat the family, you'll get some of these things solved.
You're absolutely right, Willie. And I think that's a starting point for taking what you said, and someone hopefully will run with it to say, you know what, let's open up one of these schools on a Saturday and let the parent that seems to be having a little difficulty with their child, let them both come in. Let all 3 of them come in. Let all 5 of them come in, and let someone stand there and start the conversation. There's nothing wrong with having an illness. There's nothing wrong with a disease. It's how you work with the promises that God has made with healing, how you heal that disease, And I think at the end of the day, when you do that, you have taken on the opportunity to correct whatever problem it is that you may have because of what you've learned thus far.
And we need to understand that we have a disease.
Yes.
I don't think we always understand that we have a disease. Let's talk about the disease. Let's talk about what's wrong. And let's talk about what we're going to do about it. No one wants to do anything about it, but people want to talk about it. It's big money in it.
Oh, yeah. It's huge money in it. And
so people are getting paid, but there's no real results from what they're getting paid from.
Because some people.
Why is that?
Let's start with the family. You got 5 people in the family, right?
Absolutely.
You treat 5 people in the family, right? And they really understand what is going wrong and how they could fix it. Well, they're going to talk to the rest of their family.
You're absolutely right. And part of it, in my opinion, I could be wrong. People look for solutions.
Yes.
That's not good to look for a solution. A solution is a Band-Aid. You need a resolution. A resolution is something that you never have to go back to again because it is done. That book that I'm talking about, that's a resolution. That's God's book. There's nothing else in there that's going to be added to it. I heard Steve Harvey say he's the best-selling author for the last 2,000 years. And it's true. It's absolutely true. The only thing that I've said to people, people say, well, there's the 10 commandments. I said, no, that's actually, in my opinion, 11 commandments. They say, well, why do you say there's 11 commandments? I said, because when Jesus came, he said, I bring to you a new commandment. When you bring something new, it becomes 11. There's Old Testament, there's New Testament. But at the end of the day, we have to do something to I guess, get a handle on this mental health problem with these children. Amen.
No, you talk about the Bible and how it's written and how many people have bought it. People buy Bibles just to have a Bible in their house because they feel like they're going to be saved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't pick it up and they don't read it with an understanding.
No, they don't.
There's a spirit to guide you. So to buy a Bible and put it on the shelf and say, well, I got a Bible, so I'm going to be saved. That's bullshit. Open it up and read it.
Yeah, that's so true. You can have a house full of Bibles and they're gonna bang. You
never read it.
Yeah,
never read it. But I got it.
Try to talk about the scripture. See, humming.
Bill, and they scared to throw it away. They think God gonna strike them dead if they throw it away.
Wait at home.
So open it up and read it, please, people. But you know what, Bill? I want to say about Noam too.
You got people talking about.
Noam has said something. Noam is my brother, right? Through thick and thin, he's never going to need a want. And if I got a dime, right, he got a nickel of it. I can't say he got 9 cents of it, but if I got a dime, he got a nickel of it. And you know what?
Absolutely.
Until we start looking at each other and thinking about what we could do for one another instead of what we could get from one another, right? We'll be on a path where we really care and really there to help each other. We're there looking at what I'm going to get instead of what I'm going to give. I don't care what I'm going to get. And if I give enough, I'm going to get more than I gave. And
Absolutely.
that is what is written, and that is what the faith is about. And if you don't give, that's what you get.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. I mean, you've taught me a lot about that, giving. And I think the three of us have had a conversation about giving and then watching how some people can turn your backs on you. And that's neither here nor there, because the bottom line is, like you said earlier, Norm, it is what it is, and it is how it is. You can't, Uncle, you've always told me, don't block your blessings.
Yeah.
You know, you tease me about, you bring people to me or this and that and stuff like that. But she's like, we've never blocked our blessings, and we've never wished bad on anybody. But you know what? The bottom line is we don't ever have to help that person or those individuals again, but we don't stop individuals. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what you've taught me. And I've watched how Norm has spoken, and Norm and I have conversed extensively before he agreed. And when he agreed to do this, we've talked about the conversation. And the one thing I liked about it, Norm, you was like, oh, we're going to have a real talk. We're going to talk there. We're going to let it out, right, Norm? You was like, oh, let's get it in then. I said, all right.
Absolutely.
And then you was like, yo, let's bring Unc in. And I said, oh,
Absolutely.
I said, that's let's bring him in.
Norm called me and he said, listen, you're the second person. I'm out. You're the second person I'm calling, right?
That's right.
I've been calling his number for the last couple of years. and I mean, picking up the telephone, calling. No, picking up the telephone, calling. And say, I'm here. What do you need? I left a message. I'm here. What do you need? Right? And that's what we need to do. Right? Yeah. I didn't get an answer back. I didn't care. It didn't stop me from calling. So we got to persevere. If you really want to do something, do it. Don't say I tried, because there's no such thing. That means that you set yourself up to fail. I don't try anything that I don't complete. Amen. I may not complete the best in the manner that I want to, but I will complete it.
Yeah. Well, and that's why
I don't have any excuses.
And that's why I think it's important that people be like an air traffic controller. An air traffic controller's job is, of course, to monitor the planes in the sky. But one of the most important jobs of an air traffic controller is to land that plane safely. So be like an air traffic controller and land one plane at a time. All of those other ones that are hovering around, let them hover around. But if we take one problem that we're working on and finish it, complete it, get it done, then we don't have this catastrophe of everything crashing and burning. So be an air traffic controller. Everybody listening, be like an air traffic controller and just land one plane at a time. Amen?
There's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
That's right.
And if you don't accomplish those three things, you never finish your project. You can't stop at the beginning, you can't finish it. You can't stop in the middle, you can't finish it. And you can't stop in the end if you didn't do those other two things. Right? So take three things in those projects.
Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles.
And you know you can live for yourself.
That's Willie Walker, and that's Norman. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Willie Walker. That's Norman Seabrook. I am Bill Foster. We're at the hour mark of this. We're not stopping yet until these gentlemen ready to go, but we ain't going too far, but we're going to go a little longer. Trust me on that. And if you're new to Real Talk, subscribe to it. Just push the subscribe button. You want to see content like this? You want Norm to come back and get his own once a month show with me? Hit him up. Let him know. Say, yo, Norm, I saw you.
I think it's great.
You can get a 1 month show with me.
Wait a minute. I think it's absolutely great. Right, Norm?
Absolutely.
Right, Norm? Right, Norm?
Exactly. Yo, hey, Norm, like the little rascal kid. Don't drink the milk, it's spoiled. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Norm. You know, I've already told you. Yeah, we got to add some humor to this, everybody. This is what we do, man. Listen, like I said, subscribe to it. I want to read some comments and stuff like that. I appreciate you all for rocking with us. It's not over. Like I said, We're gonna keep it real. They are keeping it real. This is what the topic is. It's Real Talk Chronicles. Shout out to the sponsors: the Chocolate, Leon Ellis, Melba Wilson, Daily Arts and Survival Magazine, Reggie Wells, Quality Speakers, Malika, my wife Illusion Art Gallery. You can look up Soft Illusions Art Gallery, or I'll have her put it in the chat. 13 years in the business, black owned art gallery, right? Having their 13th year anniversary this weekend. If you can't make it to PA, that's fine. You can go online if you want to support. If you conscious, like you say you conscious, you might see, it ain't got to be the Picasso, but it might be something that you souvenirs that you can give out. And also, if you're looking for a web designer, right, Tell them. Malika's that woman, right,
I got a web designer and a picture. I got a picture
exactly.
from
Exactly.
Listen, let me tell you something. And
you got it both. You got it both.
If you can't spend your money with your family, right, you shouldn't spend it with nobody.
Absolutely. Also, before I move on, I'm gonna read some comments, Norm and Willie. Shout out to my sister, Norm, our sister. You affectionately call her Red. I call her Lorraine Kitchen, for putting this together. She spearheaded this. Shout out to you, Lorraine. If anybody knows, I'm loyal and I'm humble. You get the bow for putting this in motion. Unc, of course, thank you for co-signing it. And Norm, thank you for believing in me and trusting me to give you a platform so you can converse with your people and the community in the world. Like I said, if you want to hear, brother, you're always welcome. And I say that wholeheartedly. We've had the mayor, we've had the district attorney, we have assemblymen, we have people, we have doctors, but we got a Norman Seabrook and we got an Uncle Willie.
Norm got a lot to say too, Bill.
You know what I'm saying?
And he should,
you
should be saying all this stuff you got. I know. Right,
Norm? Exactly. Listen, I'm gonna read some comments right now. Clara Bryan said, people from South Carolina, North Carolina, hit us up for this. Thank you. Let's see. Margarita, a blessing to you, Billy, Willie, and Norm. Thank you. Malika, my wife. Yeah, hey, we appreciate you, Uncle Willie. Love you. That's what we do. Let me read some more comments. Everybody, Norm, when you get a chance in your confines of your home and you're relaxing, go to the Real Talk Chronicles page, and you're going to have to go back and look at all this love that you are getting. I'm trying to keep it. Never have I been able not to keep up to what people are putting in here, but I am happy that I can honestly say I can't. So I'm just going to have to read them. Clara Bryan said, I'm just thankful for having Norman during these times when we needed a voice. Thank you, Norman. Tuwala, I don't want to pronounce her name. Her last name is David because I don't want to butcher you up. You must have a relationship with God and ask God for discernment, understanding what God is saying. Like God said, ask and you shall receive. Knock at the door shall be open. Absolutely. I love you too, Lorraine. Loving God says, I'm reading back. He said, if you deny me to man, I will deny you to his father. Wow, that's positive. That's what's up. Let me read some more. Nikki Burton said, Willie Walker, that are true signs of a leader. Yeah. Everybody, there's so much in here, Norm, and that people are just giving it all up, giving all this love up. Norm, I'm going to segue. Before I retired, there were some absolute tragedies that happened on Rikers, and I would often say if Norman was here, he would shut down the bridge and bring those chickens home to roost. Norm, let's go down that rabbit hole. What's your feelings about what the state of the corrections right now? If you know,
I guess the state that I see it in is chaos. It's chaos. That's the only word I can think of that does it a little bit of justice. It's chaos. It's mismanagement. There's a lot of things going on, and I think, in my opinion, that, like I said before, it has to be rebuilt. It has to be built from scratch to get it done the right way. The men and women that do the job as a New York City correction officer are dedicated, hardworking, caring individuals. It's a tough job when you're dealing with inmates that don't have any respect for you. I don't know why they're there. I've always had the opinion of, I'm not here, you're not here, and I'm not here because of what you did. I'm only here to make sure that you don't leave here. But I think that at the end of the day, when you give the inmates what they're supposed to have and develop a relationship where you could communicate with people, because that's the biggest part of the problem in any type of employment is communication. You have to be able to communicate. If there is no communication, there's going to be a breakdown. And when that breakdown occurs, the dam is open and the monsters come through. So when you have that type of environment where there are no communications, or the left hand doesn't know, and it's not being disseminated as to what should be taking place, you're going to have these type of problems. There's a big problem going on in the city now that affects me, and that's the Medicaid. That the city of New York is changing the Medicaid, is changing the healthcare system and putting it into Aetna and Medicaid, where you signed up all of these years for HIP, let's say, for example. Now they're taking HIP away from you and they're telling you you must go to this one or that one. And I think that it's wrong, because at the end of the day, it's a collective bargaining agreement. I think at the end of the day, you need to sit down, and the people that come up with these decisions to do, they're not the ones that are being affected for it right now. But every single municipal employee going forward is going to be affected by this. And when they're affected by this because you've allowed a group of people to corner the market on you, that's going to be a problem. And I think that those are things that needs to be really, really looked at before the final ink is on the pen from the mayor of the city of New York saying this is a done deal. It really, really has to be looked at. Barack Obama became president of the United States, and President Obama, who Correction Officers was the first union to support President Barack Obama when he ran for president outside of Illinois. We were the first outside of Illinois. Let's not get that twisted. He signed a law that gave every single person the right to choose their health care. In giving them the right to choose their health care, how are you now going to supersede what the President of the United States have blessed us with and say, no, this is what it's going to be from now on? I think it's wrong. You know, I mean, look, I'm a retiree. I get retired benefit, medical. So at the end of the day, I'm saying to myself, what happens if my doctor doesn't accept this new program that you want to do? Now I have to shuffle on down the street to somebody who don't know me, don't know my history, don't know my family's history or anything else, and I have to become now comfortable with that person. So this is bigger than just saying, oh, sign on a piece of paper and you'll be fine. No. I don't think so. So in answering your question about correction, not only is it affecting correction, it affects every single municipal worker in the city of New York now and ones to come. So I think that it has to be something that we sit down, or people sit down, have an open dialogue, communicate, and come up with an agenda that works for everyone. And that's the biggest problem in Washington. Nobody wants to talk to each other. It's your way or his way or the highway. Doesn't work like that anymore. You got to sit down, because obviously there are some things that we
totally agree with
agree on and some things that we don't, you know? That's just me, bro. That's just me.
All right, my take on it is
I totally agree. I'm gonna bring you in. Let me ask you a question. I want you to segue into this. You as a civilian, even though you sit down at the tables with kings, what's your thought of the correctional facilities right now? We can talk, and we're gonna come into what we feel, how the laws have changed and gotten a little softer. Especially, like I said, I feel like from a law enforcement standpoint, things have gotten softer. You know, I don't care what you vote, red or blue. You know, if you put them together, you'll get purple. Because the bottom line is, it seems like when one thing happens, people go to the extreme and they stop it, and then they change things up. And now you got chaos in the streets, and you got world. And it's not just in New York; it's all over the world. So you could talk red, you could talk blue states, but let's keep it 100. people of color are killing each other, anybody out here. I say all that to say, from you as a civilian, but like I said, you still sit down with the tables of kings. What do you think of the correction facility now? And we talked about, and then piggybacking off what Norm was talking about, health and stuff like that, healthcare.
Right. Let's look at the timeline of this, right? And I'll be very honest about it. From the day Norm was no longer a part of running the correction facilities as president of the union, corrections started going downhill. And I'm going to tell you how it started going downhill, because they had people that didn't care. Norm was there. And you talk about people in jail. Norm cared about people, whether they was incarcerated or they was working as correctional officers. Mm-hmm. He made sure respect was there for women, that they would not be raped by inmates, that they would not be beat up by inmates. Norm made sure that what was supposed to happen in the facilities happened in the facilities. But not only did he do it, he held the mayors, he held the commissioners, he held everybody's feet to the fire. The governor's feet to the fire. I shouldn't say fuck, but held everybody's feet to the fire. I know this because I'm.
You can let it out. You can slip it, let it slip out. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm looking at the timeline in which these things happen, and they have progressively gotten worse. There is no management there, and there's nobody that care whether there's management there. Everybody's there for a check, and they've been there for a check a long time. Talk about the union. There's no union. There's nobody supporting the correctional officers. When you go to jail, what the hell is this privilege about? I'm in jail, and I got to eat what I eat, and I got to pray what I pray, and I got to have all of these privileges. Going to jail mean I took the privileges from your ass because you couldn't do it when you was out.
Exactly.
When are we going to look at prisons as what they're supposed to be? Now, if we want to talk about training people and doing all of that and having benefits that people can learn things, you have to be willing to learn. If a person is in jail and they want to get their GED, they can do that. They don't want to do that, so you can't force them to do it. But you know what? No. They'll bring a lawsuit if they don't have their ice cream cone. If they don't have their cake, if they don't have their this, that, and the other, because this is what I want, and we are pampering people in jail. Norm didn't do that, but what he did do, right, was he was held them to human rights. He made sure that rights wasn't taken from them, but he didn't give them extra rights. They got extra rights now, and they're running the prisons. So you want my take on it, right? Want my damn take on it? Norm should be president of the union. Yeah. That's my take.
Want your take. I want your take, Unc. I want your take, damn it.
Listen, Jimmy Hoffa.
No, I'll let you.
Jimmy Hoffa went to jail and came out and was head of a union. Damn, I think. Listen, let me tell you something. You want to get it straight? Let's get it back to people that had it straight in the beginning. Now that's my take on
Real talk. That's it. Norm, you want to say something before I say something? Go ahead, brother.
I don't. That's the king. When the king speaks, you don't speak after the king.
Absolutely. You just bow.
But Norm, exactly. Am I right though, Norm? I thought you said, but Bill, am I right that when Norm was no longer there, things started going downhill and everybody started pointing fingers at each other, and nobody pointing fingers at the union anymore?
No, let me tell you something. And Norm, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna hold that question. But the one thing is, what I see is a lot of pampering, like Uncle was kind of alluding to earlier. Inmates, like I said, what you did in the cells would have never happened on our watch. I'm sure you've seen videos of your colleagues that you represented getting sliced, spat at, punched, kicked, stomped, jumped.
No, not on my own.
Yo, what kind of nonsense? No. That's what I'm trying to say. Can you just talk about that a little bit? Listen, talk about shut it down, bro.
I think that when a correction officer is assaulted, let me back up for a second. When an inmate assaults another inmate, or a staff member, civilian or uniform, that person or persons should be charged with the crime. That comes out of the district attorney's office in the Bronx, because the Bronx district attorney's office is responsible for Rikers Island, because although Rikers Island, to access it, you have to go through Queens, but the water, the property is in Bronx County. So that is the Bronx district attorney's responsibility. That's number one. If you allow an inmate to assault a correction officer and you don't do anything about it, that gives that person the thoughts that they can continue to do this over and over again. And that's how it continues to escalate. It has to be stopped in the beginning. I've always said, and I've said it at graduations, it's been on tape, you could read it, you could see it. I've always said, use whatever force is necessary to terminate the incident. That's it, not excessive force. The force equal that's necessary to stop that attack. Once that's over, it's over. Because at the end of the day, some people go too far. Some people don't go far enough. I don't know. I'm not there. But I do know that on my watch, that is unacceptable. It will not be accepted. Whether it's a civilian being attacked, an inmate being attacked, an officer being attacked, whomever it may be. I wouldn't even let the inmate kill themselves if I was there, because it's just not acceptable to me. That's just not who I am. I remember one day, this is a story. I was in a jail called AMKC. And I went down to that housing area in the morning, and I found the two inmates that saved a female correction officer from being raped. An inmate came into the housing area, buzzed through the doors, and he somehow or another got the opportunity to enter the station area in which the female correction officer was assigned. He begins to try to take her clothes off of her and everything else. A young Spanish inmate and a young brother, black inmate, they squeeze through this little hole about the size of this screen that I'm on right now. And they go in and they buzz the gate to allow the response team to come in and stop that rape of that officer. So I go down there that morning after the incident, after seeing her, after being in the court, and I go down and I give the two inmates a container of orange juice apiece and a ham, egg, and cheese sandwich for breakfast. Now, someone said to me, well, what do you do that for? I said, because he saved her life. And if that's the least I can do for this inmate to say thank you, that's what I'm going to do. I'm then leaving the area. And another inmate on the other side is banging on the door profusely, banging and screaming, banging and screaming. It's the mental health unit on that side. So I say to the commanding officer, his name is not important. I said, what's wrong with him? He says, come on, let's forget about it. Let's go. I said, no, let's not forget about it. So I have them open the gate. I go inside where the inmate is. I say to the inmate, what's your problem? He says to me, oh, you guys are walking around here in suits and we don't even have commissary. I said, what do you mean you don't have commissary? He said, I can't even get a cup of soup. The officer is sitting all the way in the corner on the other side of the room. And I'm looking at this kid. He's new and he's definitely afraid of what's happening right now because he's never experienced this. So I say to the warden, I say, do you have commissary? He says, there is no commissary in the building. I said, do you know what starts riots in jails? Commissary, visits, things like that start problems in institutions. So I walk out, I walk out, I go down to the commissary, I call a facility called Rose M. Singer, call the facility, send over a case of cup of soup, Lipton's cup of soup. Take one cup of soup down to that inmate that's raising hell in that area. So one of the board members that was with me, name not important, he sends me this text of Lipton cup of soup. I look at it and I laugh, but I wasn't laughing. I said, because when we leave here and he's kicking that officer's ass in the corner, I got to come back here and go to the hospital or to the morgue because we didn't give this kid a cup of soup. He can have as many cup of soups as he wants, as long as he does what he's supposed to do. He's not assaulting my officers, and that's the way I get down. True story.
Norm.
Yes, sir.
If anybody saw a cop in the street, what happened to him?
If anybody what? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
That's a problem.
So here's the deal. People in jail are already convicted, right? Cops don't have to deal with the people in jail like you deal with here on the street. Every day you go to jail, you're dealing with somebody already convicted. And yet you give them the same rights of a person on the street. That's a problem. I'm not against people having rights.
But you know what?
If you commit a crime.
Let me say this, and I honestly say this: not everybody that goes to jail did something wrong.
Right.
There are so many people that I've seen, like myself and others, who end up someplace that you're not supposed to be. Look at the brothers from Brooklyn that and Ken Thompson. May his soul rest in peace. I was the first guy out there for Kenny Thompson that beat the district attorney of Brooklyn. All right, and I caught hell for it, but at the end of the day, I stood my ground, and I believe in my heart. I really believe in my heart that everybody that you come in contact with, I can't place a sticker on them that says you're a criminal. I don't know whether they're a criminal. I don't know whether they did it or they didn't, but I'm not going to treat them any differently than I would want to be treated. That's just
right.
who I am.
That's right.
Everybody, hold on. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Norman Seabrook. That is Willie Walker. And I am Bill Foster. This is Real Talk Chronicles Special Edition with Norman Seabrook and Willie Walker. Let me tell you something. I appreciate everybody for chiming in. Their comments, I'm going to go back and read some. Norm, I say it affectionately. I mean, I don't know if she wants me to tell her name. Lorraine said, Red said, run for mayor. Run for mayor. Run from there. I mean, listen, the love that you're getting from people that have worked with you, under you, beside you, is phenomenal. A few people, Miss Belonga, she said, I remember that incident. Lorraine Kitchen says, I remember that incident. Sharon N says, facts, James. People remember that. My man James Baker, he was a correction officer. He remembers guy. He says exactly. Bernard Seabrook says, why do men of color always have to be pulled down for making a change? That's a good question. James Baker said, nobody stood up to de Blasio's BS. Richard Palmer said, Norman had a good working relationship with the administration and the violence wasn't tolerated. Queen B says, there's no one that really care about the department the way they should, and it's sad. Clara Bryant, Norman Storms goes come in the future. No, we are here. She said Norman Storms go come and know that we are here. Absolutely. So I think you can understand that we're Team Norman over here too. So let's not get it twisted. Queen B said there's no one that really. Okay, I read that. Okay, I read that too. Shout out to everybody that's chiming and reading and commenting.
I'm for all the correctional officers.
Shout out to my sister.
Hey, Bill, I'm for all the correctional officers signing the petition.
What'd you say?
I am for all the correctional officers, especially the one calling in, sign a petition for Norm to be back. He may not want to be back, but he's needed, man. And I listen.
Yeah,
I think we should start a fight for it. You hear me, Norm?
I'm
with it. I'm with it.
I'm looking for something. I'm looking for something that I think I want to read. Sister Rhodey sent this to me. She texts me every day. Good morning. How you doing? And I have a few people that do that. She says, and this comes from Frank Fax. A snake began to chase a firefly that only lived to shine. The firefly stopped and said to the snake, "Can I ask you 3 questions?" The snake said, "Yes." "Do I belong to your food chain?" The snake said, "No." "Did I do anything to you?" The snake said, "No." "Then why do you want to devour me?" The snake replied, "Because I can't stand to see you shine." That's powerful. That's powerful. Moral to the story. Often some people can't stand to shine, and that's why they act like snakes, silent and ready to destroy you. That's real talk right there. I love it too, man. And
they can't stop your shine, no. They can't stop your shine.
But because God put the shine in me. I'm one of God's generals.
I got it.
It can't. Let me tell you something.
Say that again, Bill.
Yeah, and before we close out, we're going to talk about your faith and all that. Hold on. I just want to read some comments. Pat Palazzo said, I would sign whatever I need to sign. Lorraine Kitchen said, I will help. Clara Klein said, okay, I'm in. Yeah, listen, people said, my man Mark, shout out to my brother Mark. He said, I remember his radio show, and the screen jumped. Hold on, let me get back to it. He said, I remember his radio show that show support for the New York City Correctional Department blasting all over the 3 stations. Great show, Bill. Thank you. Yeah, listen, that show, and he was giving it. We talked about that earlier. Norm, let's segue you and Unc. I want to segue into I see you to Shonda Pace. I see your comments. I see you, Lewis, my man Quinona, Jonathan Davis. I see you guys. I see my people chiming in from all over different. Bernadette Crocker said the medical situation in New York is awful. Yes, it is. Let's talk about. It might be like a 2-pronged kind of question. The youth out here today in crimes, they have no respect for law enforcement, from the NYPD to the correctional department.
You breaking up, Bill.
I paused for a minute. I was just thinking. I think it stems from the home training that is gone and it's watered down. If you sat down with the powers that be, or you were the power that was or is, what would be some things that you could change or would change? And then, Unc, you could piggyback off that in your own thoughts.
I didn't hear the entire question, but from the gist of what I'm hearing, it sounds like...
I'll give it again. I'll give it again. You got me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I said basically today's youth are committing crimes that are so lawless. They are just doing it. They're more violent than ever. Our generation may have committed crimes out of necessity to show turf, but they weren't just committing crimes of the crack epidemic changed a little things. People were just robbing people, but they weren't killing. This new generation is just killing just to kill. I personally feel a lot of it stems from the home, but it doesn't go to the home because it ends up in the correct powers that be, the PD, mental challenging, and other agencies. If you were the powers, or you sat down with the powers that be today, what would be some things that you would try to do to rectify that? And Uncle, you can follow in on that question.
I think that part of the problem is, and it goes back to my first remarks about communication. The police officer is scared of the kid on the street. The kid on the street is scared of the police officer. The mother can't talk to the kid because nobody's communicating with each other. Everybody's afraid of each other. So anybody that tells me no, he's not afraid, that's a lie. That's a lie, because they're afraid to talk to each other. That's the bottom line. You have to develop a relationship. And I think that the first thing that I would do in developing a relationship is let me back up for a second. Police officers that drive down the street, that's what they're doing, driving down the street. When I was a kid, he didn't drive down the street, he was walking down the street. But they talked to us, they communicated with us. And I understand some of these kids today because they're lost too. They're like, wait a minute, you're not giving me anything to do. That's why I talked about camp. Take these kids out of the communities and send them to camp. Give them something else to look forward to as opposed to a 9mm coming in the back of their head. If you could spend all of this money to house all of these people coming from over the border, then you could spend some of this money and send these kids to camp. You understand what I'm saying? And I know people are going to say, oh, you can't say that, it's federal money. Well, shit, we spending it already, so let's spend it on our own kids first. Let's give them an opportunity to live. You understand what I'm saying? It's hard, man. You got to see some of these kids, they want to open up, but they have never been out of the Bronx. They've never been out of Brooklyn. They've never been out of Queens. They've never been out of Manhattan. They never seen the botanical gardens. They wouldn't know what the botanical gardens. They never rode a horse before. You understand? Let's get back to being parents again. And
what was that? What was that, like the Fresh Air Fund back in the day, right? The
yes,
Fresh Air
yes.
Fund.
But let's get back to being parents again. And if the parent is afraid of their own child, then their parent needs some counseling as well as to how to handle this child. You can't be afraid to do it. You got to change the dynamics of it. I understand church. Don't get me wrong. I joined a new church now, the Van Ness Gospel Church here on Rhinelander Avenue here in the Bronx where I live at. And I joined that church because the Spirit came to me one evening while I was in federal prison and instructed me on what I should be doing. And that's what I'm doing now. No, don't get me wrong. No holy roller. Don't get me wrong. But I believe in God. And I believe that he has the answers. So if I could help sit down with those and say, okay, let's start with basics. Let's take some kids out of the fourth grade that live in the worst projects in the city of New York and send them away for 2 weeks or 3 weeks up to a camp. Let them get some fresh air. Let them drop their guard, man, instead of walking around trying to be tough all the time. And they're only doing that because they're afraid of what's going to happen to them if they look soft. Let's get that 15 or that 16-year-old who really don't want to be a part of none of these gangs, but he's forced into it because he doesn't have a choice to be forced into it. Let's get his mother who's working 2 or 3 jobs, man, just trying to keep food on the table, and she doesn't have the time to be with him when he's supposed to be doing something different. Let's get back to taking care of a village to raise a child. That's just me, though.
Thank you. Unc, I'll bring you in. We were talking. Yeah,
Right.
I was talking about bringing you up.
Everybody, Bill, everybody know what the problem is, and nobody want to say shit. Let me tell you what I think the problem.
I love you, Willie. I gotta love you, man.
and I want brothers to get pissed with me because I got to say it about them. And let me tell you why I could say that. I was a single parent raising 5 girls. Now, here's the problem. You don't have brothers in the house. You don't have anybody in the house. You know what you got? You got women in the house running a family, taking care of kids, and the brothers out there having more babies. Let these black brothers get into the house, take care of their responsibility, discipline their child, make sure their child is going to school. We're never going to get anywhere if the brothers don't get together and say, we have to take care of our responsibility, and our responsibility is that child that we made. Everybody say the woman, well, she didn't do this and she didn't do that. She's doing the fucking best she can. And where's that brother? Honest to God, and we all know it, he's out there making more babies. And nobody say that. And I don't hear anybody saying anything about the black man taking care of his responsibility. And if he's not taking care of his responsibility, as far as I'm concerned, he ain't shit. If you make a baby, you take care of that baby, you get in that house, and it's not about the woman once you have a child. It's about you. It's not about her not doing this, her not liking this, her not doing that. It's about you. And if you can't get into that house, make sure that that child is going to school, make sure that child is fed, make sure that child is safe. If you're not doing that, we're never going to have a place where our young black kids understand what a man should be and how a man should be raised. I'm counseling a 16-year-old that says, I got a 9mm. I said, where do you shoot it? He said, I never shot it. And that understand, that's why most people get shot. That's not even, that people call it a mistake. A person with a gun shoot everybody but the person they intend to shoot. If you're 15 feet in front of a person that want to shoot you, you're safe. They'll shoot everybody else. Because the minute that gun goes off, it's a trauma. The minute that gun goes off, it's frightening, it's deafening. And young kids don't understand that, and they're not no black man in this house saying, you're not going to do this shit. You're not going to go out tonight. You're not going to hang with that crowd. The mother's doing the best she can. And what we got mothers in there taking care of families, and these dudes are out on the street making more babies. Ladies, If they can't take care of them, don't give them none.
Give them some act right, or take away their act right, right? Take away their act right. Go ahead,
don't give them shit. If they can't, listen, let me tell you something. Women know what they got. If you know you got a dog, he's gonna be a dog. Don't give him shit, because he's not gonna be there to take care of that little black child that needs him to say, no, you can't go out tonight. Mama said, and he's so indoctrinated with gangs and all of this other shit. He said, I ain't listening to mom. She got 2 jobs and she can't come home and take care of me while I'm out here in the street. So she don't know what I'm doing. So guys, if you're pissed with me by saying it, I don't really give a damn.
My man.
Ain't nothing you're gonna do. Exactly. If you can't be, yeah, exactly. Hold on, Norm. Let me just read this comment. My brother Eddie said, I get where Norm is coming from, but our best camp for every young and black and brown girl and boy is at the dinner table conversing with parents, period. Absolutely. Hey, Bridget, I see you. Loving God said, if you're not leading the people of God, then you are the problem. Let's see. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Norman Seabrook, I am Worcester, and that is Willie Walker. We are here giving you real talk, the best we can give you, authentic, no chaser. If you don't like your liquor straight, then put some ice in it. But we ain't watering this down right now. This is just what we talking about, and this is how we giving it. Let me ask you a question, Norm and Willie. Norm, what do you think about the way the city is right now, or the cities? What do you think the problem is, or what do you think it stems from? How soft they've gotten? You know, we're not even going to talk about. We haven't talked about the migrants yet. I don't know how long we got. We got maybe about 15 minutes strong. But let's talk about how the city has gotten so soft on laws and things of that magnitude. Now, don't get now. I'm going to speak for me. Stop, question, and frisk was a necessary tool. It was abused by certain individuals and powers that be. It was used for a quota. I'm here stating that I had to put on an activity report. I'm removed from the police department years. So what they gonna do for me? Make me mad? You know, that it was put on a police report, an activity report on how many 250s did you do? That's what the stop, question, and frisk was. Is 250s. I think it's a great tool when you utilize it in the proper law enforcement. It's just like I was the epitome of community policing. I live in the 3-0. I worked in the 2-8, Unc's precinct, where the Apollo is, for those that don't know where the 2-8 precinct was. But people in Harlem saw me, they was like, oh, B. They felt comfortable. They could come up to the police officer, which was me, and be like, yo, what's good? Like, I was a de-escalator just from seeing somebody that they could relate to. I wasn't soft, so you wasn't going to punk me and think that you was going to abuse or double park me, like the law, just because you saw me. That's not how we worked it. But I'm saying all that. I'm saying I was the epitome of community policing. Where I'm going with this is that laws have. It seems like one situation happens. I get about police brutality. I speak out against it. But we can't change gun laws, but we can change police laws. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's happening in a correctional facility. The laws being changed where, you know, a person, like I said, could spat at somebody or cut him and then run and put his hands on the wall and think you don't get any consequences. Listen, what's the old school? You're not gonna get no toilet paper for a week. You know what I'm saying? You know, things like that. Just give me your thoughts and you know what I'm talking about, right? Yo, listen, you'll be watching. You having peanut butter jelly sandwiches, bro. You know what I'm saying? Just give me your thoughts on this, and you can chime in as long.
I think that what you said was key. You said that you were able to go up to somebody on the street and they go, B, what's going on? How you doing? That comes back to what I said about communication. You have to have that confidence to be able to communicate, and someone has to make the first move. It usually has to be the police officer to make the first move. There were police officers in the community where I grew up at that knew everybody on the street. The people in the community fed them lunch, dinner. You know, they came up to the house, they played cards, every kind of played basketball with us. They did all kind of things. Now everybody is just in their own little world, and it's a shame because it's not going to get any better. So I think that the first part of community policing is that the person that puts on that uniform cannot be afraid to do their job. And at the end of the day, I think that the individuals that they come across on the streets, it's how you speak to a person. And I mean, yeah, it's difficult. You know, I see the water bottles, I mean, the water balloons thrown, the water thrown, the cursing, I see all of that. That's because it's going too far. And if we don't put a top on it right now, it's only going to get worse, and the summer's not even here. So at the end of the day, there has to be some type of new initiative to be able to deal with the situation that is affecting not only the police officer and that individual, but it's affecting the people around them. Because if the police officer has a problem, then his family at home has that problem when he or she gets home. They turn to the bottle. They turn to the drugs. They turn to the abusiveness. They begin to speak to them like they're the perp in the street, and vice versa. If the kid has a problem, he's going to take it out on every other police officer or every other correction officer that wears a blue uniform because he feels that that person disrespected them. So in order to put a stop to it, you have to bring the groups together to sit down and say, this is what the agenda is going to be. The agenda is if you do A, B, and C, we're going to do this. And that's why community meetings are so important. But community meetings with a senior that only wants safety, I understand that. But I want to talk to the guy that's standing in front of the project building all day, all night. I want to talk to that guy that's sitting on the park bench that's slinging drugs in the neighborhood. I want to talk to that guy that's strapped with that 9mm. And I know he got a 9mm on him. But I want him to come so I can say, look, whatever your name is, Bob, Joe, Bill, I don't care what your name is, but I'm just saying that. But this is what we want to do. I would like you guys to stop hanging out in front of the building because Miss Jones has to go to and from the supermarket and do this, that, and the other thing, and she's intimidated. Develop a relationship of community, not just because something happens and you get 10 police cars to show up and everybody's putting on their gloves like you come for a war. It's not about war no more. In order for you to stop the war, you got to have a communication. And if you look, and I go back to the Bible on this, there were David in the Bible, okay? In the Bible, David was being chased by Saul, and he was a king. But he said he will not hurt Saul because God put his hand on him. It's one of God's children. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying that we don't use force. I'm just saying that force is not necessary to be used at all times. And as far as stop, question, and frisk, yeah, if the tool was used properly, there wouldn't be a problem. But since the tool was not used properly and people were just doing it as a harassment for people, that's what caused it to catch the fire that it did, where people are saying, I'm tired of this shit. Because each and every person going to or from don't want to be shot. They don't want to be shot by anybody or somebody taking out a gun, like Willie said, with a kid that has a gun that's never shot the gun before. 12 other people get killed. He got 13 bullets in his gun. 12 other people get shot up, and he didn't even hit the person that he was going after. So at the end of the day, there has to be that communication. Don't be afraid to go down the block and say, yo, listen, can I chop it up with you? You got a few minutes? You the man? I want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to, I want to talk to whoever makes decisions. I don't need to talk to somebody that's going to take my message. I want to talk to the person that makes decisions. This is what I need you to do. Can you do this? Can you meet me halfway? That's how it starts. That's just my opinion, though, bro.
No, absolutely. Hold on. Let me just read some comments real quick, and then you can come in and chime in. Julie Brown said, what goes on in the jail depends on the union leader in charge of the brothers and sisters who wear the uniform. I'm retired, but the members I still speak with complain about their union leader. Eddie Vieira said, it starts at home. Conversation, wisdom, and love from parents to young children. This would be the big business of imprisonment out of business. Shout out to everybody chiming in. This is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Willie Walker. That's Norman Seabrook. God said, if you're not leading the people to God, then you are the problem. Everybody, I appreciate you, Julie Brown. She said the difference. Julie Brown said the difference in a true leader compared to what they voted for 3 years ago changed. Queen B said, yeah, I was in 95 for that situation that you talked about earlier. Come in and insight on what we were discussing, please.
Stop, question, and frisk. It was a good tool. It was used wrong. And I'm going to tell you why it was used wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The question was never there. It was stop, frisk, and arrest. They never stopped to say the stop, question, and frisk is the whole, was a part of the whole program. And not only did they use it wrong, and let's talk about police did this. Nobody's saying police, they said people. Police did this. They stopped black kids. They stopped black people, period. Stop them and arrest them.
Yeah.
They didn't do it to whites. So everybody thought stop, question, and frisk was a bad thing. It was a good thing. The minute they got rid of stop, question, and frisk, kids start carrying guns openly, knives openly, and what you got now is chaos about it. You can't go back. You can't pick it up again. And police abused it to the point that they had to get rid of it. If they had used the tool the way it was supposed to be used, it would have been a thing that people can't openly carry guns and not be held responsible for it. That's my take on it.
Yeah, definitely. No, you're totally right, because right now you cannot stop and openly or just go up to somebody and search them unless you see you better have a damn good reason to go up there and touch and violate somebody's rights, as they use that word, violation.
That's right.
Of right. You know what I'm saying?
And they're carrying now.
Yep. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Willie Walker. That's Norman Seabrook. I am Bill Foster. We are here chopping it up. Norm, let's talk about, before we close out, I want you and Unc to go down this spiritual journey, this path for us. Let's talk about your new path in religion and faith before we get out of here. You're very big into the religion right now. Faith.
Listen, I've always been a religious person. Anytime you've ever heard me speak, anytime I've ever been.
Oh, I apologize. Then I'm just saying I apologize.
You've always seen me give God the honor. Always. Never shied away from God. Never did. And it's not newfound. It's just I feel good. I feel refreshed because God has given me the opportunity to cleanse me from all of the, like Willie would say, all the BS people that were around me.
Yes.
So I feel good. And that's why I talk to you about my rock, which is my wife that held me down, my children, and my family, and I think that those things are important. My mother, the communication between my brothers and sisters and my family, and that's important. But I didn't just pick up religion.
Let me just say this. I apologize for misquoting that or misstating that. So maybe is the proper word how enhanced it is now for the people that didn't know. Is that a fair maybe statement?
Listen, I wasn't offended when you said it the first time because
I know, but I'm a humble individual, so I just got to show that love.
Just for that, I'm not doing it next month. Yeah. But no.
There you go, Norm. There you go.
I mean, look. Let me.
Yeah, I like that. See, that's real talk. That's when you can chop. That's when you can chop it up and talk some BS.
You're right. But
with each other. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Yeah, but you know what's so funny? I appreciate the spiritual growth or the pronounced.
And then let me tell you about
spirituality. I say this, and like I said, let me just say this, and I want you to come in, and then I want to ask Uncle a question. I say this because I went to Catholic school, so I had to learn about it, right? Even if I didn't want to, it was spoon-fed to me. After that, there's a time when you stop going to church and you don't care about whatever you church. When my mother passed away, because this is the anniversary. I mean, no, this is not the anniversary, but her birthday is tomorrow. And this is Real Talk started from her and me needing therapy. I started conversing with people, and Unc knows that because that's his sister we're talking about. I joined the church. So I reconnected Even though, like I said, I was a spiritual person, but I reconnected. So that's why I said that verbiage. But go ahead, Norm, say what you think, please.
And that's important because sometimes in order for you to get something, you have to go through something. You have to go through something in order to get something.
Right.
You know, you get nothing else from it.
Right.
And I think that, matter of fact, I know for myself that I feel so good inside. And I feel so relieved of the things that were holding me back. I mean, I used to get up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the hospital to see about an officer. I'd stay out 2-3 days working at the morgue straight through. I was burning the candle at both ends for the men and women of the organization and their families. I've been to over 200 funerals of correction officers. I've watched kids grow. I've been there, done that. And I look at it now and I say to myself, and God has always been with me, and I'm so grateful to that. But God has taken me in a different direction now. And he says, now I want you to be a general in my army, and I want you to go get those lost sheep. I want you to bring them back to me. That's my job now. And that's what I intend to do. And that's why it's important for people to put on the helmet of salvation, the breastplate, the shield of faith, all right? The belt of truth, the shoes of peace. They need to do that because at the end of the day, every time something happens, the first person people call on is God. Oh, God, oh, God. But then after they get what they want, then they don't care nothing more about it. And that's a shame. But every time you look at it, Bill and Willie, Willie knows this about me, all right? I'm real. What you see is what you get. I don't sugarcoat it. At the end of the day, God is alive and well. And at the end of the day, he has blessed me. I have a roof over my head because of God, not because of man, because man's going to BS you every single chance he gets. And he's not going to do nothing for you. And there are people that are chiming in, Norm, good to hear you, good to see you, and everything else. And I love them, and I thank them for it. I thank them for the love. I thank them for the support. And at the end of the day, I know in their heart of hearts, they know that they got to get back to God and do what it is that they're supposed to do. That's the only way we're going to take care of our children. That's the only way we're going to take care of our parents. That's the only way we're going to take care of ourselves. That's the only way we're going to take care of our health. That's the only way we're going to take care of our finances. And I can go on and on and on and on because it's right here in this book. It's right here in this book. And if it ain't in this book, it don't exist. There's nothing new under the sun. Nothing. So let's just do what it is that we got to do.
I love it. I love it. Let me just read it. Uncle, I got a question for you on this point. Hold on, Uncle. Hold this thought. Your brother, he said, Richard Seabrook says, our mother raised us to have a relationship with Jesus Christ, not religion. Wars were started by religion. Absolutely.
Mom, love you, Rich. Love you.
Denise Hargrove Jones, you can ask Norm on your own. I'm not going to ask that because then you're asking him about can we be blessed if you present at the retirees luncheon? I don't have nothing to do with that. That's Norm. You got to reach out and get it. I got Norm my way. You got to get Norm your way. You know what I'm saying? That's just real talk. Let me ask you a question, please. In a few minutes, can you explain how important religion is to people in general, not just whatever your faith is, but how important religion is to people? You being a spiritual man yourself.
Well, religion itself is not important to people. It's what your faith is. Everybody got a religion somewhere, about some things, because you have a faith and a belief in something, right? But it's who you put your faith and belief in. We as Christians have Jesus Christ and we have God. And what Norm said earlier is when Norm came to my house, we talk about our faith.
That's right.
We don't talk about religion.
That's right.
Norm said, I had a dream and said, what do you think about it? I said, you follow your faith.
That's right.
You follow your belief and you follow what you believe in. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ.
That's right.
And that has fed me well.
That's right. Come
Everything
on.
that I want, I put my, and like Norm said, I don't put my faith in no man. No man or woman can give me anything that I can't get for myself. But God give me things that I can't get for myself. So it's about faith. It's about trust and belief in God. It's not about religion. Everybody got a religion about something, whether it's good or bad.
Amen. 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 Keep the faith. Keep the
and keep
Listen.
it strong. And keep it strong.
listen.
Listen, I have
Go ahead, Bill. No. After you, sir.
Okay, what I was about to say. It is that time. I promised you 2 hours, and you gave me 2 hours because I knew we was going to have a lot to converse about. But the bottom line is, I have one question that was texted into me. That would you ever consider running for mayor?
Would I ever consider running for mayor? I will answer this question the same way I've answered it before. Whatever God instructs me to do, when the Holy Spirit comes to me and directs me, I will act.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough?
Yeah, now I have another question. That's from me and Uncle Willie. Will we see you back here? Hopefully we can get you back once a month.
Yes. Yes, Norm.
Well, I will say this. First and foremost, I thank you for the opportunity to be on your show this evening. And I thank Willie for making this, and Red and everybody else making this whole thing come together. So I thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I thank the viewers for participating in it, and looking forward to speaking to them in the future. And I will say this in all honesty, if you need me to do something, Willie has always told me that he's always been there for me. I will always be here for you, brother. Fair enough.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm
you did, but wait. When I said
answer that question,
he sure didn't. He froze. He froze.
Yeah, you froze. So unfreeze, baby, unfreeze. Yeah. Don't let the internet mess this up right now.
I said that Willie has always been there for me, and I will always be there for you, Bill. If you need me, I'm there. If you need me to do something for you once a month, I'm there. But and the viewers need to understand that, we all have the Constitution, which is the First Amendment, which is your right, freedom of speech. I'm not pushing religion on anybody. That's up to them to decide whether or not they want to participate. But I am a true believer in the true and living God. Jesus is my Lord, my Savior, and I thank you, and I thank the viewers, and I thank Willie, and I thank your wife, and I pray that each and every one of us have a blessed evening. I pray that each and every one of us have a wonderful Mother's Day coming. If your mom is not here, I pray that you thank her and to thank the Lord that you are here to give homage to her. And those that are here, I pray that you do some type of celebration just to show your appreciation for what she's done in your life. Amen.
Amen. And Norm, it's
Awesome.
who you
Look at
you
this.
don't have to push
First and
religion
foremost,
on anybody. It's how you carry yourself, my brother.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Everybody, please give the heart and my Uncle Willie Walker. Uncle Norm, since you gave us almost a half affirmation that I didn't ask for yet, but I wanted to ask for it. Give us an affirmation due at the end of Real Talk Chronicles. I asked everybody, if you haven't subscribed to it, please subscribe to it. Positivity is sometimes the hardest thing to sell, but it wasn't tonight. You all came out for Norm and my uncle, and I appreciate the love. I appreciate Norm for giving me the platform to moderate this. And I love you immensely, for always being my mentor. After Dad transition and Mom transition, you told me, you was like, yo, I got it. I got the reins from here. You never have to look back, and you have never failed me now with that. So I appreciate you.
Somebody have to take care of your little badass.
Absolutely. I knew you was gonna say it. So with that being said, give us some positive affirmation, and then Norm, give us some positive affirmation in closing. You already did, but you jumped the gun, so you got to give us something else extra. And then everybody, we are out of here. Go ahead.
Sometimes we don't understand our worth and our wealth, right? But I want people to listen to this. You're just as good as those who think you are. and better than those who think you're not. Think about it.
Wow. And let me say this in closing. I just got a text. I gotta give a shout out to Conso Frito. Jimmy says hello, Willie. Jimmy told me to tell you hello. All right, Jimmy Rodriguez.
Yes.
From Frito.
Oh, Jimmy Brown's Cafe. Jimmy.
Let me say this. It's tough. It's not easy. But God has his hands all around me. I'm so blessed for that. There are so many people that have come and assisted me with legal bills and everything else. And I thank you for that. God knows I certainly appreciate you. I can't name you all because if I left one name out, all they're going to do is say, oh, he forgot me. But trust me, you're in my prayers. I forgot none of you. I love you all. And I intend to make you proud and continue to fight for us and continue to do the things that are necessary to be done for us. But I'm asking you to do me one favor, just one. I want you to take a step back and land one plane at a time. God bless you.
Gotcha.
Everybody, that's Norman Seabrook. That's Willie Walker. I'm Bill Foster. This is Real Talk Chronicles. The first Monday of the month, Assemblyman Al Taylor. The second Monday of the month, Dr. Marilyn Corder. The third Monday of the month, Miss Allison Williams, the First Lady of Def Jam. The fourth Monday of the month, it's Malika and I, kicking it with the Forsters. Every Wednesday, we have a round table with law enforcement and we go over policies and procedures. But listen, one of those Wednesdays is going to Norm. It's going to Norm. Listen, right?
I love it. I love it.
Well, Willie, you coming with me to the dance?
Don't tell me what Wednesday he won.
I'm in. Y'all know I'm in the background. I'm praying. I'm praying.
Send me an email.
And also he'll be here with us too, as long as he wants to.
You know my email address, right, Bill? Send me an email.
Yeah, exactly.
Willie, you got my email address. If somebody wants to send me an email, they can send it to Norman Seabrook, COBA at gmail.com.
I got you on speed dial, brother.
My man.
That's it.
All right.
Everybody, Norman, if like you said, serious inquiries only. Norman Seabrook at Gmail.
Norman Seabrook, COBA
with your email
at Gmail. Hold on, let me just make sure that's the right one.
Listen.
Is that it, Sue?
It's all right.
You got it anyway, Willie, right?
Yep, I got your speed dial.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, good night. We are
Peace.
Real Talk, man. That's Real Talk with
Good night, everybody.
Willie, and yours truly.
God bless you.
Appreciate you. Good night. As John Boy said, hold on, Norm. Hold on, we're going to the green room. Hold on, we're going to go in the green room real quick.